bit about that, and I'm glad that you asked that question because, you know, after the Great Resignation, again, as I said, we can't live on love and air alone. So we must work and bring the bread to the table, right? So there are some segment of those talent or workforce who just realize that, you know what, this is the time where I can find, I can be self-employed, and that's fine. I think everyone can set up their own business, but not everyone can be really successful in business. That's another matter, right? But having said that, for those who have been working elsewhere in specific segment, you know, it can be a generalist in HR, for example. Somebody who has done some finance, accounting, it can be whatever at the back end of an organization. I think there are a few things that they need to do first. Of course, number one, if can, please don't live without a job, of course. But sometimes it's just too much. They just want to go. So I think first and foremost, what they need to do is to take a stock of their life. Take a stock of their life. And what it means is this. Number one, of course, we know that the paycheck isn't going to come just like how many years ago into our bank anymore because we're no longer working. So we need to take a stock as at number one, our financial situation is the hardest part. Because why? A lot of people are a little bit, you know, dreamy about their financial situation. They think they have more. Actually, they don't. Some of them live on credits, which is very, very dangerous because credit will run out and you'll run out of everything. So take a stock of the financial situation. Take a hard look at what are the things that that one needs to pay out on a monthly basis. And then take a stock of whatever that you have. So it might be taking a stock of how much you can live, basically sustain for the next, I don't know, 3 months, 6 months. They say that you need to have a nice little balance to sustain you for 6 months. But Mr. Joanna, we know that not many people have that ability. They can't even survive for a week. Money is going to run out, right? So what do? Take a stock of the financial sustainability, how much time, right? So number one. Number two, take a look at the skill set that we have. So for example, those in the age of 30 to 45, you know, what kind of job that you've done before. So a skill set mapping is very, very important. What it means is this. What are things that you've been doing for the past, I don't know, 5 years, 10 years? What are those things? If you've been doing accounting, for example, what kind of accounting that you're familiar with? What kind of software that you've used? If you've been trained in with SAP, for example, wow, that's a high end, but we must remember not many companies are using SAP. So it might be a derailer for you. It might be good for now, but not so good because, you know, you don't use any other system but SAP. So the pro and con. So skill set mapping is very, very important. What else? Transferable skills, of course, on top of this. What are the things that you have right now that can be transferred somewhere else? So we have, you know, some very specific competencies that you have, but what are the transferable skills that you have? Communication skills, writing skills, leading a team, some aspect of technology. Those are the hard skills, for example, yeah, that you need to map out. Then what else? What else? I think the next one is to see what kind of environment that you want to go next. Right. So if you were in manufacturing before and you say to yourself, you know, I've had enough. I've been working in manufacturing for the past 10 years. I know that this is the only skill set that I have. Actually, that's not true. There are other skill sets that if we really ask ourselves, there are other transferable skills that we can transfer it somewhere else. A lot of people go into a similar business environment because they feel safe. right? Because they know it. It might as well they go into the environment that they know. Never mind, they know that the environment isn't exactly what they want because it feels safe, it feels comfortable, even though it's really terrible. So I think, you know, a little bit of that that growth mindset, love more yourself, needs to come into play right now, and willing to explore in some other areas. And number 4, I think this is where very, very important to look for network, to latch on to your network. Now is a good time to reposition yourself, create or recreate your personal brand. I know it sounded so cliche. It sounded like we're selling toothpaste, but we're not. We're just positioning ourselves, repackaging ourselves so that we are new, that we're ready to look into something more exciting. So all of these elements, and of course, I think of all of this, we cannot do one without the other. We cannot just pick and choose and say we're going to just do one of this. It doesn't work that way. We have to look at all these things.
Rightly mentioned, you are right that it is better to manage a new job while you are in existing job. It is better. If you have to leave the job before getting a new chance, then there obviously financial security and other you have already mentioned required. So if any executives would like to manage a new job while he is in existing job, so you have already talked about skill set, skills mapping, and transferable skills. You also mentioned about personal branding. So could you please elaborate this personal branding issue? How an executive can ensure his personal branding for creating demand in the sector where he is working?
Very important topic. I think it is a concept that is already existing in the market, but not many people, I think, understand really what is personal brand. If I can just give an example, I know for a fact that even in Malaysia, right? So in Malaysia, a certain brand of toothpaste is always the name Colgate. So I'm going to mention a name because, you know, everybody here in Malaysia calls a toothpaste Colgate. Never mind that the toothpaste brand is something else. So whenever they get somebody to go to the shop and say, hey, can you buy a toothpaste with this name? Never mind, it's something else. So that brand is so strong, right? And another coffee. So in Malaysia, we have all kinds of coffee brand that we go to, you know, the fast food chain, for example, with the Golden Arch and everything. So we all know those brands, even though there's no label, there's no name. So same thing, personal brand is similar to that. What makes you different than the others who are standing next to you? Basically, that's it. What are the things that people tend to remember you for more often than not? So being Asian, I can understand this. Whenever somebody says, what are you good at? And I go, oh, you know, I'm not good at anything, or, you know, very humble and all that. But when we talk about personal brand, give yourself permission to appreciate yourself for something that you know you can do really well. For example, if someone is good at making sense of complex numbers, I think that's a fine skill to speak about because not everyone has the capability to do that, including me. I'm not so good with numbers. I can understand numbers. I mean, I'm I own a company, so I have to like the numbers, but give me complex numbers, it takes a little bit of time. But there are others who have these skills to make it so easy for people to understand. Some people are easy with the public, with people. They make people at ease. People go to them whenever they have problem. They have people who come to them, you know, for coaching and mentoring. All of these little things, I think, are creating elements of personal brand. So that is on the, personal side. However, personal brand that I'm talking about here is to create a brand of you out in the market. And obviously right now, in the global context, is that a modern personal branding strategy is usually rooted to content marketing or in the social media, because that's where the world is right now. You know, in the old days, 30 years ago, we don't have all this social media. We don't. So how do we do? In terms of personal branding, we do something, right? Either good or bad. So people will remember you. So I don't know, Mr. Joy, now when you were, 17, I don't know what you did. So I'm sure there are friends who remember you for something that you did.
Yeah. So that means expressing yourself in the right market with the right skills. So
yes, with the right skills.
Could you please explain some elements of this personal branding toolbox?
Yes. For example, right? And I'm taking into context myself here. Yeah. In LinkedIn and in my industry, in Malaysia, I am known as the career doctor. So the brand here is the career doctor. There are not many career coaches in Malaysia who are doing certain segment of the market, career transition and all that. They're not many. So I together with my business partner, George, when we first started off Dragonfire, it was a journey for us to rebrand ourselves, repackage ourselves, we pivot, we fine-tune our offering. And then we decided that, look, this is what we do best. People tend to remember us for these skill sets, what we do, what we deliver, and all that in terms of our solution. This is where we're going to head, and this is where we want to create our personal brand, our brand. So that's a company. But being a personal, having a personal brand is to make sure that you have the right skill set at the same time, and people know whatever that you're doing, and people remember you for whatever that you're doing, and hopefully for all the right reason. Not what we did when we were 17, Mr. Joyner.
Yeah. So personal branding is important to just make a mark in the heart of people.
Absolutely. And I think every one of us should start young. I wish somebody told me before that this is personal brand when I was younger, right? Because then we can have a point of reference. We can refine ourselves again and again. Otherwise, we're just searching. We don't understand, right? We didn't understand. And the next thing is that personal brand will take place even though without us. So that's very dangerous. We want to make sure that we're